Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Remember 11, The Age of Infinity. Didn't screw that one up that time. But now we're Satoru. Things are awkward in the shelter cabin. And Uni will probably not make that any better. Along with Satoru not making that any better. None of them are going to make it any better, I don't think. Suddenly I heard a voice. I turned in the direction of the voice. This person just forgot. On the top bunk. What is Uni? A memory detector? There's a boy perched with both hands on the edge of the bed looking down at us. A face I'd seen somewhere before. No more than just a face I'd seen. It was a face I should have been very familiar with. However, I couldn't remember anything beyond that. Oh crap, is it really an earlier version of Satoru? Or we met when I saw him, whether or not he knows me to, I don't remember a thing. Nonetheless, the feeling that I know this boy was spreading somewhere deep within my chest. Lynn got up suddenly and walked over to stand right below the boy. Oops. The boy gritted his teeth, frowning. Still looking down, he slowly raised his left hand. Duh. If he wasn't talking about Mayuzumi, then duh. Who just woke up and joined the conversation. With hostility in those words, he pointed his slender finger at me. What is that? A Phoenix Wright impression? I forgot the name. Oh crap! He's accusing me too now of forgetting stuff. You forgot Phoenix Wright. You. Me? Why? I hadn't forgotten anything. Lynn's the one who lost her memory. Poor Yomogi, he's like, I don't know what anything's going on. Neither do I. Something's wrong here. I had the feeling that I'd been swallowed up into a ridiculously intricate plot. Oh, how you are. I have no basis for this, and yet a vague premonition, a growing sense of unease, swirled inside my chest. No one responded. Lynn ostentatiously averted her eyes before heaving a great sigh. The boy? Without saying anything, he jumped down and walked past me, heading for the doorway. Uni, a name I'd heard before. The name and face of the boy was etched deep into my consciousness. It seems I really do know him well. But I'm still not sure how I know him. So he was very taken aback by, I ain't forgotten nothing. I just know this guy. But I ain't forgotten nothing. And he stopped in the corner of the room, turning away as he spoke. There's a rectangular hole at his feet. And fixed to the side of the hole was a wooden ladder leading downward. Lynn stopped Uni as he placed a hand on the ladder.
他人の遺失したる物件を習得したる者は速やかに遺失者または所有者その物件回復の請求権を有する者にその物件を返還しまたは警察署長にこれを差し出すべし。
Really hope Uni says something really cool here.
ただし法令の規定により私に所有所持することを禁止たる物件は返還するの限りにあらず。
Oh, yeah, I guess that works. I was gonna be like, I would be like, well, if I see somebody qualified, a police officer or someone, then I'll give it to them.
Huh?
Although it is her stuff, so yeah, that wouldn't make any sense at all.
そのコートは所有所持することを禁止たる物件でも何でもないでしょ。何よ。
お取り込み中のところすまないが、一つ気になったことがあるので聞いてもいいかな。ユニはそのコートを。
それは機体の残骸の中から。
そいつはおかしいだろ。君は墜落の衝撃で機外へと放り出され、気がついた時には雪原の中に。も
ううるさいな。分かったよ。脱げばいいんでしょ。脱げば。
After interrupting the man in mid-argument, Uni resignedly removed the coat that was hanging off him.
返すよ。
Rolling up the coat, he tossed it toward Lynn.
もう乱暴に扱わないでくれる？高かったんだからね、このカシミヤのコート。
As Lynn muttered a complaint, she gently patted off her reclaimed coat. I just kept silent as I watched their exchange from the sidelines. Not that there had been any room for me to cut in, even if I'd wanted to. Plain wreckage impact? What are they talking about? My confusion only deepened. Uni swiftly climbed down the ladder and disappeared. I wonder how long it's going to take him to realize that he's not quite the Satoru that he thought he was. I looked down through the rectangular hole in the ground. There appeared to be some kind of storeroom down there. I want to know his reaction too. Having been addressed, I turned around.
名前教えてもらえないかな。何かと不便だろ。名前を知らないと。
The man sat down on one of the wooden chairs, smoking a cigarette.
僕はヨモギだ。ヨモギ誠治。
ヨモギ誠治
Again, yet again, a strange feeling overcame me. Just like with Uni, I'd heard this man's name before. Yomogi Seiji, age 35, a mountaineer by trade. If I'm not mistaken, he should have a wife and kids. Why? Why are all these clear memories of him suddenly coming to mind? I don't know. Who tell me? Never seen this man before. And yet why?
どうしたんだい？何か気になることでも？
Yomogi inclined his head, a puzzled look on his face. Perhaps he'd read my expression. I replied, I don't know what the choice would be. Should be here. We know that his answer to this would be no, because I mean it's Kokoro's body. And that could probably cause some confusion. Although it's going to get around eventually to where, I mean, it's got to happen eventually where they realize that, to where they think he's crazy. She's crazy. Oh my gosh, I'm having reverse confusion now. To where they'll think that she's crazy and,
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. With that said, I moved away from him.
で、名前は？
Again, I heard his voice behind me. answered as I walked aimlessly around the cramped
有
room.
機道悟だ。
有機道悟る？
Why is he confused? I mean, it makes sense for Mayuzumi, obviously, since we know. Why is Yomogi confused? Where does he know Yomogi at? Or where did he know Satoru at? I mean, Yomogi and Lin raised their voices so near perfectly in unison that it seemed as though they'd planned it beforehand. Yomogi looked me over critically, as though observing some strange life form. And Lin marched straight up to me with her mouth set in a hard line. Maybe, just maybe, Lin had remembered me at last. Softly calling her by name, I moved toward her. We stood in front of the stove facing each other. A strange sense of unease overcame me. I soon realized that its source was in the way that she looked at me. I was looking up at Lin. Lin was looking down at me. Yeah, Satoru's taller than her, so that would be... It should be a strange thing. In truth, the difference in angles wasn't that great, but the fact that there's barely any difference between our heights to begin with, to me it was shocking. I tried to analyze it. It's an inexplicable phenomenon. I looked down. I thought I should check and make sure on my own feet. But then at that moment, at first I couldn't quite understand just what it was that had happened to me. My vision swam. The strength in my legs left me, and I fell to my knees. Right after that, I was attacked with a violent pain. The pain spread in burning waves across my face and down my neck until my whole head was throbbing. Was I hit just now? If so, then I haven't a clue by whom or with what, though. Or why there would be any reason for someone to hit me. I was only sure of one thing. Right there before my eyes was the person who hit me, Mayuzumi Lin. My blurry vision finally came back into focus. From where I knelt on the ground, I looked up at Lin as she towered over me. She glared imposingly down at me, her face flushed.
ふざけないでよ。
Her voice was quavering with anger. There almost seemed to be a strange aura emanating from her, causing the air between her to distort like a heat haze.
どういうつもりなの？なんで有機道悟るなんて。
I got to my feet, wiping a hand across my mouth. Something red was smeared across the base of my thumb.
変わってないな、お前。カッとなるとすぐに手を上げる癖だよ。
Is that why he left her? Or is that why they broke up? Because she was slapping him?
それからわけのわからないことで突然怒り出すところも相変わらずだ。
あんた殺された。
Wow.
それって悟のふりをしてるつもりなのよね。
振り？
ふりじゃなくてなんだっていうのよ。その品のない言葉遣いも、私の名前を呼び捨てにしたことも、全部今までのすべてが私を陥れるための演技だったんでしょ。
One thing I was really looking forward to at the end of the game, which they let me down on, was Kokoro being like, Satoru, tell him that, tell Mayuzumi that, and everybody that I wasn't crazy, that we were actually doing a body switch thing, and he'd be like, yeah, and everybody would be like, of course, I guess it depends on who all else knows Satoru. Apparently, everybody knows Satoru. Yeah, everybody knows Satoru.
まあもっとも演技と呼べるほどのものでもないけどね。猿芝居、幼稚なお遊戯、具にもつかない滑稽な茶番としか言いようがないわ。
リン、どうしちまったんだよ、本当に。俺は悟だよ。振りも演技もしてない。俺こそが正真正銘の有機道悟なんだ。
はあ？この後に及んでまだ続けるつもりなわけ？呆れたわ。何なのよそれ。あんたは何をどうしたいっていうの？ 私をからかってるだけ？それとも悪徳商法かなんかの勧誘でもするつもりなの？どっちにしろ私を騙そうとしても無駄よ。私と悟の過去についてある程度調べてきたみたいだけど、そんなものは何の役にも立たないわ。残念だったわね。今度誰かを騙すときは相手を慎重に選んだ方がいいわよ。
Confused and bewildered, I was left speechless. There was a fatal discrepancy somewhere in my exchange with Lynn just now, like a pair of gears that that don't line up properly, clattering along to no productive end. I am me, Yukito Satoru. There can be no mistake about it. And yet, Lynn isn't recognizing me as who I am, as Yukito Satoru. I had a terrible feeling that my entire existence was being denied.
それにしても寒いわね。このポンコツストーブ、火力弱いんじゃないの？ねえ、ヨモギ、なんとかしてくれない？
Lynn sat down in front of the stove, arms crossed against the cold. Yomogi stood where he was, his stove frozen there, cigarette in mouth. The flame had already reached the filter and burned itself out.
ちょっと聞こえないの？なんとかしてって言ってるでしょ。
Lynn shouted at him over her shoulder. The spent cigarette from Yomogi's lip, the spent cigarette dropped from Yomogi's lips and onto the floor.
ああ、分かったよ。
He gathered several blankets from the beds and draped them over Lynn's shoulders. Lynn pulled them tight around her.
え？
コーヒー入れてくれって言ってんの。さっさと動きなさいよ。たく、トライだから。
やれやれ、世話の焼けるお姫様だ。
Again, we might be seeing why Satoru and her might have. I don't know who ended it, but I don't want to say it would be a good thing if it had been Satoru, but it does seem like it actually could be not the easiest person to deal with. Even if she likes you, even if she loves you, it might be really, really difficult to deal with her. As he grumbled in complaint, Yomogi skillfully brewed a cup of coffee and carried it over to Lynn. Lynn accepted it without a word of thanks. Then, after blowing on it a few times, she set her lips to the edge of the cup.
ちょっと何見てんのよ。目障りだからどっか行ってくれない？
Those cold words were directed at me. My chest ached as though someone was squeezing it hard. I'm just waiting for the moment when he's like, my chest hard at... Wait. Why is my chest softer than usual? And then he looks down like... Okay, I really want to see his reaction. Coke Rose was really funny. And I'm gonna be I think he will be equally amusing to see his reaction. So yeah, we can go take a look at our appearance. I noticed it the first time since coming here. The fact that Lynn didn't recognize me as Yukito Satoru is because my current appearance lacks the component which proves that Yukito Satoru is Yukito Satoru. Right. Supposing a dog could talk, even if he said, "I am a cat," no one would believe him. And this dog just came up to me and said, "I'm a cat." It's kind of strange. Why would a dog say that he was a cat? And that person would be locked up for for insanity. Because compared to a cat, a dog is so clearly different in appearance and form. The dog lacks the component which proves that a cat is a cat. And just what is the component which proves that a cat is a cat? That's something you can express in one word. Shape of the mouth, the whiskers, the ears, the teeth, the shape of the pupils, the claws, the texture of the fur, the shape of the body, its skeletal structure, its way of walking, its cry. All those things combined make up its indescribable catness. Okay. Perhaps then the situation that I found myself in is the same as the pitiful dog-like cat. The current me perhaps doesn't appear at Yukito Satoru-like. Therefore, Lin doesn't recognize me as such. He could have just said, I may look different than what I do. Having deduced this, within an instant, I timidly looked myself over. A ribbon at my chest, a light pink skirt, high lace-up boots. The back of my hand was a soft white, and from my abdomen protruded 2 long, slender legs that looked perfectly at home there. I would think he'd be feeling a draft. You know, with her wearing a skirt. I'm just saying, you know, it's a cold place. You would that'd be something you'd notice, you know. Why are my legs so cold? You would think it anyway. The words left my mouth before I had time to think. I'd expected my current appearance to be different from my usual one, but to be wearing a skirt. I'm wearing a skirt. In short, this means panicking, I put both hands to my chest. Though small, there were definitely 2 bulges there. Why hadn't I considered this possibility until now? Why wouldn't he have considered this possibility? Because, you know, suddenly you kind of wake up and you see somebody who knows you. And you go up to them and they kind of look at you strange and say, you look different. The first thing you're going to say, you know, that'd be one of the first things. Maybe I ain't a dude no more. I like how casually he thinks. Like, I should have thought of that before. Because it's such a logical conclusion, a possibility. Logical possibility, I should say. Undoubtedly, I felt like myself, no different from usual. That's why, even if a certain part of my body entered my field of vision, I didn't recognize it as anything other than a symbol of sorts. A finger was just a finger, an arm just an arm, a foot is just a foot. All processed so unconsciously I barely even noticed it. We don't see the thing in itself. Okay. I will not go there. The central concept of the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, an 18th century German philosopher. It refers to the object's phenomenon characteristic, that which concerns empirical recognition, but to the actual object itself, the very substance of the phenomenon's origin, independent of any subjectivity. It means that we can only make sense of the phenomenon and can never directly know the actual objects or ways. The thing in itself is not something which can be understood, only contemplated. However, the contemplation itself is a sort of transcendental freedom. Transcendental freedom! When we see the passing landscape around us, and the countless objects contained within it, we can't be said to be perceiving them exactly. We derive a simple general idea of each of the objects we see, and our thought patterns process them in that basic way. Till now, I just naturally thought of myself as myself. Within the human mind, there exists the pursuit of an identity and a sense of self. We're programmed to naturally think that the me of 10 years ago and the me of the present time are the same. Yet in practice, both physically and mentally, the two are almost completely different. In much the same way, I too was convinced that the me of before and the me of present were identical. Therefore, even if my foot or part of my clothing entered my field of vision, I didn't recognize them as anything other than one of the components which makes up that which I think of as myself. In short, I did not see my appearance as anything worthy of special notice. I derived only the general concept of my body and decided to just input that information into my brain. However, now that I make a conscious observation of my own appearance, I notice that I'm different. A lot different than I remember. For the first time, I realized that something strange had happened to my body. The mental signals that something is strange here had risen to the surface level of my consciousness.
なんだか難しそうな顔をしてるね。
I think we're going to call it there. Because I'm really curious how he's going to interact now with the others. Should be pretty amusing. So I do sincerely hope you folks enjoyed. And I shall see you in the next one. Farewell there.